Hi, my name's Jo Sims. I'm from Sheffield. I manage a small facility, a 16-bedded ward for people with dementia. And I thought I'd just tell you a little bit about who we are and what we do. We're in the middle of nowhere. We're not actually in Sheffield Centre, we're out of Sheffield Centre. 16-bedded unit, as I said, and there's nowhere else like us in Sheffield. We are the only place that has a facility for people with dementia that actually have very challenging behaviours. So we do get the worst of the worst behaviour. We experience some extreme behaviours, and you wouldn't think they were possible really of elderly people. And sometimes it does feel a bit like downtown Barnsley on a Saturday night. So at G1 we actively embrace person-centred care and non-pharmacological intervention. By using person-centred care, we get to know the person, their family, we can build a relationship, and we can begin to find out what works best for them. And by using therapy and activities as a diversional technique, we often don't need to use PRN medication anymore, and we place a huge emphasis on interventions, activity and occupation, meaningful occupation. We say that occupation activity is everybody's business. I'm lucky to have a fantastic OT team, and we work collaboratively together to provide person-centred care. We shy away from the usual culture of it's just the OT department that facilitate the activities, and we embrace, we get everybody involved, housekeepers, support workers, secretaries, social workers, they're all involved, don't matter who you are. You will be involved in person-centred care. I'm passionate about person-centred care, and I'm passionate about providing the best care for people with dementia. We like to provide a rich and meaningful relationship between our staff and our patients. We provide a 7-day-a-week activity programme. We have activity coordinators working weekends. We place emphasis on activity being used all the time and meaningful activity. Anything can be an activity, it doesn't have to be a planned intervention. And we're working to change the mindset because traditionally it is OT staff that provide this activity. Not anymore. We work with the OT staff, and they happen to be brilliant at encouraging other people to become involved. We offer regular training for all our activities, especially the My Life, and we make it easily accessible and readily available to use at any time of the night and day. So just a brief outline of what activities we provide. I won't go through them all. I know you all want to go home and you're probably fed up of hearing about activities now, but these are just some of them. And I wanted to talk in particular about the paraseal, and about My Life. Sorry, we call it My Life. Because My Life now encompasses all these activities, and it's generally used to provide a lot of them. Okay, so just a brief word about the paraseal. And can I just add at this point that all the pictures and videos that I've provided here, we have got full permission from all our service users. Once we explained what we were doing, they were more than willing to join in, and they knew that this is what it was going to be used for. So our paraseal, we have two, a male and a female. We used to have a blue ribbon and a pink ribbon, but infection control made us take them off. We've now got a campaign going Save the Seal, because infection control don't actually like our seals, and we've had to provide a robust infection measure to be to be able to carry on and use them. But I'll just show you a short video. I think this is absolutely beautiful. The gentleman in this video is particularly agitated, particularly distressed. He becomes very angry very quickly, and he's caused a lot of damage on the ward. He's ripped doors off, fire exit signs, you name it, he's done it. but put a paraseal on his knee and he's gone.
My favourite.
So he has word finding difficulties as well. Can't communicate that good, but yet when the seal's there.
You're wonderful.
That's the seal making the noise, not him. As you can see in a minute, the seal moves. It flutters its eyelashes at you. This is Boswell, by the way. It's a bit of a flirt. So this gentleman kept pigeons, and for some reason he really related to this seal, and he would make the pigeon noises to the seal, and the seal and him interacted, and he would spend hours just sat, whereas, you know, he would be wandering a lot of the time normally. And he absolutely loved Boswell, not particularly the female, but he did like Boswell. So it decreases wandering, it stimulates feelings and memories and experiences, it gets people talking about the pets. And it was originally designed as a pet for older people in Japan by Shibata et al. And it was based on the baby harp seal. That was the inspiration of it. So we're trying desperately to keep them, but infection control are not happy with us. So we'll see what happens. But it also helps to engage them because they have to stroke them in a certain place, they have to tickle them in a certain place, and they have to talk to them for the seal to interact with them. So they have to concentrate in doing all that. Okay, so I mentioned in the activities some of the themed nights we have. We have an Elvis Presley night, we had Buddy Holly. Our lounge and dining room often looks like, as you can see, the creative art slide. Looks like a bomb's hit it, but people get really involved in this. We do taste sessions, movement matters, collaboration with our physios to get people moving. Carrie is one of our activities coordinators, and she's a singer and a dancer, and she also teaches our service users to play instruments as well. She's absolutely brilliant. Okay, so as I said, another important part of our activities, we use My Life. Now, My Life was introduced to our ward in December. We had to wait quite a while for the training, but when it came, we actively embraced it. And since it's been introduced, it's proved immensely valuable and popular, and it's used to facilitate a lot of the activities. As I said, staff are actively encouraged to use it both day and night. I mean, we've had it used at 3 o'clock in the morning for somebody who couldn't sleep. We give them, our staff, regular training, CPD sessions on how to use it. Because as somebody said earlier, you know, a lot of our support workers are quite a bit older and they're not used to digital technology. So, you know, when you tell them they can touch the screen, they're like, you know, they just don't know what to do with it. So we give regular training, and if they can be quite scared of it, but after a bit they become very involved and they want to use it, and we encourage them. If I work in the main office and the My Life system is in the office, bonkers, get it out on the ward, it needs to be used. So it gets used all the time. It encompasses person-centred care, and for us it works fabulously in reducing the need for PRN. Its simplicity is appealing to both staff, patients and carers, dead easy to use, and the results are immediate. It's not like PRN, it doesn't take half an hour to kick in. It's there, it's relaxing. It changes the atmosphere immediately, and we found that benefits are retained as well. You know, people that have been using it half an hour later, they're still singing the songs that they used to be singing, you know, that they were singing. it instantly lifts the atmosphere and the morale of both patients and staff. Our staff absolutely love it. I haven't got any graphs or figures or number crunches or anything else. I just thought my way of showing you how effective it is was to show you pictures and videos. So I'm sorry it's all a little bit simplistic, but that's how it is. Okay, so one of the songs on the karaoke is My Way. So that's how I came up with the title for My Life, My Way. And it really is their way. They do it whatever they want to do. They lead the sessions. A lot of the sessions are impromptu. You know, what do you want to do? Oh, well, we want karaoke. That is the favourite. Or the pig racing. They love that as well. So I'll just show you My Way. Yeah, I've got it. This was just an impromptu karaoke session, and I'll explain to you some of the people in it and how they are normally and how you can see they're reacting. Absolutely loved it, and in fact there were 3 of us in that room crying on that day because it had been an awful morning. There'd been a lot kicking off, a lot happening, and I'm like, let's get the blooming My Life out, see if that works. And it did, and Les, whose wife I mentioned, she was in tears because she just said it just brings back so many memories of what Les used to be like, you know, his love of music and singing. And that brings me on to Les. I just thought I'd do a couple of little case studies. Les is a very, very articulate man, educated man. He's really expressive, arty and creative, and he needs a lot of stimulation. He gets bored very, very quickly, and when he gets bored, he gets a little bit agitated, and he wants to go home, and he can't understand what's happening. We tried the art painting app on My Life. He didn't like that because he liked to hold a brush, and it had to be physical for him. But when we brought the music app up, well, it just triggered his love of music. We discovered that he'd got an amazing voice. He started singing to us at the top of his voice. We discovered he played numerous instruments. And using My Life resulted in lovely celebrated visits with his wife. They both joined in. They were both avid quiz goers at pubs, and of course we put the quiz on, and it was like being, I couldn't give them alcohol, but it was like being at a quiz. You know, we had the crisps and the pop and everything, and they absolutely loved it. And the benefits that Les gets are long lasting. After he'd been playing his penny whistle at one particular little episode that we had, he went away in his room, and 3 hours later he was still playing his penny whistle, and he was still singing, and he was still relaxed. He's got very, very short-term memory, and his wife visits every other day, but he can never remember that she's been. So by videoing it and showing him, we put it on, and he can see that he's been singing with her, and we'll say, you know, that was yesterday, and he's like, oh, was it really? And he's then okay, you know, until the next time, and then we just show him again photographs. He absolutely beams with pride when he watches himself singing and playing the penny whistle. He loves it. It keeps him occupied, and then he'll see his wife and he'll say how beautiful she is, and it's just amazing the effect it has on him. So then we go on to Mildred. Now Mildred, let's put it this way, her language can be a little bit fruity. She blames her daughter for her being with us. It's her daughter's fault, and consequently whenever her daughter visits, the abuse that lady gets as soon as she walks through the door is awful. It results in lots of carer stress. The daughter has lots of feelings of guilt and despair and anger, and it just causes so much distress to the point where she stopped coming, which was very sad. Anyway, one day she came, she'd not been for about a week and a half, and she walked in and Mildred was using the music app on the My Life. And for the very first time, Mildred turned, saw her daughter, waved and smiled at her. The daughter burst into tears, went out the room again and then came back in again. And she came and sat with us and we showed her how to work it, we showed her what to do, all the apps she could use. It led to a sharing of information. So Mildred started telling us about when she used to doodle bop. I don't quite know what doodle bopping is, but anyway, she used to do it. And then a daughter told us things about her, and before we knew it, we were having this lovely sharing session. Mildred remembered listening to music, it being the happiest time of her life. She remembered being in love, she remembered dancing, and she remembered having a strong sense of identity. And she just remembered that era and the smile on her face. This is a very, very distressed lady normally. She was just a pleasure to... I tell you, this thing makes me cry more times than enough. It's really embarrassing. And then we showed her daughter how to work it, and we left them both with the My Life system, walked away, and an hour later they were still happily playing with My Life. It was just fantastic. And this is Mildred's feedback to My Life. You know, she's saying there's people there, you know, there's nothing wrong with them. And then she danced and showed us they just need something to do, otherwise they just sat, and she went, look, they're sleeping. And she's saying, I dance, I do the doodle bop, and everybody thinks that's great. And then she pointed to our other routine. She said, we need more like him. You know, we need this. And she was so enthralled and enthusiastic about it. So this is Audrey. I pointed to Audrey in the video. She's a lady who cannot sit down. She's so anxious and distressed. She has a lot of feeling of worthlessness. She crawls around on her hands and feet. She bangs into things. She injures herself. She's unable to settle. She's always berating and belittling herself. And she's got so much insight into her illness. She's almost got like a psychotic depression. She's lost so much weight. And she hates being in the situation she's in. She knows she's got dementia and she knows that she's anxious, but there's nothing she can do about it. She's had a carer's role for most of her adult life, but now she's become the one that's been cared for, and she's lost all her identity. She's really tortured, bless her. And we brought My Life out, and as you can see, we set off the karaoke, and she sat down. And we looked at one another, and she started singing, and she didn't move for 3/4 of an hour, and that is the longest this lady has sat since she arrived with us about 8 weeks ago. She absolutely loved it. As soon as we finished, she stood up and she started on the behaviours that she normally does, and then we put the music back on and she was sat back down again. It was just amazing. And she also loves the parasail, as you can see. So I thought I'd show you another example of the karaoke. I'm probably not going to do this right. See Audrey there, she's having a whale of a time. And the staff lose their inhibition as well after a bit. I mean, they think I'm absolutely bonkers because I stand there and dance and sing, and eventually they relax and join in. And incidentally, Les's wife has also got early onset dementia. So she comes to us to visit Les, but she actually gets so much benefit by being here because she also gets the use of the My Life. So I thought I'd share with you some carer feedback. This gentleman, his dad is with us, and he came onto the ward one day. Well, he'd been on several times, and each time we'd got My Life out using it, and You know, this was his feedback. He was absolutely over the moon with the care that his dad was getting, which is really nice. Okay, so the effect that my life has had on our ward, it's really effective psychosocial intervention. It identifies hidden talents. We didn't know that Les could play the penny whistle. It facilitates living well with dementia, and it really does. You know, you can tell just by looking at people how much they're enjoying it. It celebrates the person as they are now. You know, not everybody with dementia has short-term memory problems. A lot of people can't remember the long term, but they can remember the short term depending on what kind of dementia they're getting. And it just helps them to relate to here and now. This is what we can do now to help you live well. It empowers people. It enables them to explore new activities. As I said, it creates a tremendous and often long-lasting effect of well-being. I just thought, I've not heard any negative feedback, and to be honest, there is very little negative feedback, but I just thought I'd just share with you the little bit that we have, and that is that our service users say the karaoke words aren't very clear to read. Ours are, I think they're blue, and they very often can't see them on the background. I don't know, there may be something we can do with that, but I'm not sure. The volume isn't very loud, a lot of them are hard of hearing. A lot of them have said that the choice of music isn't wide enough for them, so they ask for particular songs and they're not there. Doris Day is often asked for. I think there's one on. I think that's probably to do with copyright, is it? But they do complain about that. And the interface, I suppose not user-friendly is not the right word, but the fact that you have to scroll through to get to one, when you've got somebody who's agitated and wanting to go straight away, when you've got to get through to their song, they get quite angry with you and they want it there and then. But, you know, as I said, it's very, very little negative feedback compared to the positive. As I said, I haven't got any figures, I haven't got any stats for you, but I just thought that this photograph concluded it all. This lady's called May. Now May will sit in a chair with her legs up like Lady Muck, day in, day out. Depending on how she feels, she won't talk to you. If you approach her, she shuts her eyes and completely ignores you. Happened to get her on a good day last week, and we had G1's Got Talent, and I just said, do you fancy just, you know, coming for a little wander? And she got up and came with me and sat down, and that was her feedback. You know, this is a lady who doesn't speak, and she was having an amazing time. She got the tambourine, she was banging the tambourine, she got this, you know, she was just going for it. And she actually asked if we could do it again. And I think as well, you know, it's important to realise what a positive effect it has on our staff. You know, Hazel was in tears because she'd seen this lady suddenly bloom. And she said, this is what makes our life, our job worthwhile. And she's absolutely right, it does, it's amazing. And that's it, folks. As I said, all participants, we did get permission from both them and their relatives, and they were more than willing and eager to show you how well my life works on our ward. So, thank you very much.